Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Due to the divisive nature of adversarial politics, protracted social problems requisite of prompt remedy are allowed to continuously detrimentally impact on society, being caused by polarization and the entrenched positions of rigid party politics. Hence, a drastic overhaul of the way democracy is organized becoming imperative as made possible by the latest technologies. Theoretically reflecting on how democracy could be arranged differently in a nonpartisan, non-representative fashion, expressing the will of the populace in a more immediate and absolute fashion, alternative forms can become subject of discussion. In an hypothetical referendary system, the electorate would be permitted to vote directly on legislation which every natural person eligible to vote could propose, relegated with state-funded legal assistance if necessitated. There would still be an agendizing assembly, consisting of elected representatives of interest groups such as unions, employers, academics, farmers and fishermen, churches and lay organizations, the professions, the self-employed, NGOs, civil servants, the army, whose sole task it would be to appraise the numerous legislative proposals on their social or economic pertinence and urgency, after which the retained proposals would be debated by proponents and opponents on public television. The electorate at large would subsequently express itself by means of an internet ballot at regular intervals. Assurances would have to exist as to the secrecy of the ballot and the avoidance of fraudulent voting. In countries like France, internet voting being already an established feature which must count as reassuring as for the perceived reliability of this electoral methodology. So far for the legislative. The executive wouldn't consist of professional politicians but academics and other experts in their respective fields relative to the ministry, who would alienate themselves from their habitual occupation to fulfill this civic duty for a single term only. The judiciary, prosecutors and law enforcers would be elected, as is already the case in some countries but by no means in all. Legislation adopted by this novel referendary method couldn't be contested in court in view of it being the express will of the totality of the electorate arrived at in the most absolute fashion, the separation of the powers therefore being guaranteed. No reform could be effective, however, without the existence of an alert civil society, a genuinely pluralistic, free media, the independence of which has been eroded through the years while become increasingly corporate and thus an integral part of establishment politics and economics, being servile to an expanding techno-feudal environment. Renards Conrad. Antwerp, Europe.